Good evening. A very good evening to our today's guest speaker, Mr. Sayantan Mukherjee, all dignitaries, all participants, and my beloved student present in this webinar. As we know, Ministry of Human Resource Development, in short, MHRD, is addressing challenges of building and streaming innovation and entrepreneurship ecosystem in higher education institution by setting up Institution Innovation Council called IIC. IIC at Institute is a unique model based on hub spoke and coherence approach to align with the innovation and entrepreneurship promotion and support programs are being organized by various departments and ensure round the year with different activities in campus for effective engagement, learning, and participating innovation and entrepreneurship among students and faculty community. Consequently, Institution Innovation Council IICPIT is organizing today's webinar on My Story motivational session by a successful innovator. Hope we will highly motivated by today's session. Now, I would like to request President of IICBIT, Professor Orpita Chakraborty, to enlighten on this topic. Orpita Madam, over to you.
Thank you, Shanti. Am I audible clearly?
Yes, Orpita.
A very good evening to all of you. Welcome you all in today's webinar, My Story, a motivational session by a successful innovator organized by IICBIT. Just before, as Shanti has said, IIC is Institutions Innovation Council. Yes, it's an MHRD initiative to encourage innovation in the institutions, academic institutions. And in light of this, we, the IICBIT team, is also putting continuous effort on innovative works. And throughout the year, we actually organize several webinars, workshops, seminars, contests to encourage innovation actually. And we believe smart work and innovation form two indispensable elements of startup. And when efforts are made in the proper direction, it can create difference actually. It's said that all our dreams can come true if we have the courage to find them. Yes, so you, the budding engineers, start dreaming for it, aiming for it courageously to hit the target. And without delaying further, we would like to hear today's our guest speaker, Mr. Shantan Mukherjee. He's also BIT's very own alumni, and hope we will be having a wonderful session with him. Looking forward to a wonderful session. And once again, I love to welcome my colleagues, dear students, and today's guest speaker, Mr. Shantan Mukherjee, over this Fizzy Digital system. Thank you.
Thank you, Orpita. Today, being one teacher of Bengal Institute of Technology, I am very much excited and proud to introduce our guest speaker, Shantan Mukherjee, because he is alumni of BIT. He is BITian, our very own BIT family member, our student. Shantan completed his BTech in computer science from BIT in 2008. He started his career as a software engineer in Wipro Technologies and later shifted to management, overseeing revenue operations and projections for a business vertical, and then to business development and account management for organizations like VentureSoft, Clarion Technologies, etc. He has been nominated by SBI for Youth for India program and Commonwealth Scholarship and has chaired the jury of Regional Holt Prize and Tata Social Enterprise Challenge. Son Shantan comes from a family of stock experts and always inclined to sales and entrepreneurship. His understanding of global politics and economy has made him a part of top organizations and business ventures. He had always focused on knowledge, creativity, compassion, and the larger picture. His extreme wish to get freedom to implement his own ideas made him ultimately the idea inceptor, the founder at 221 Baker Street, which provide highly qualified sales opportunities with prospective buyers and reduce the B2B sales cycle by at least 38%. The company 221 Baker Street also provides offshore engineering solutions, which reduces the cost and operations by 67%. Persistent smart work, strict discipline, and keeping an open mind for learning from every aspect of life make Shantan a successful innovator, a promising entrepreneur. He mentors startups and provides management, sales, and technical solutions to companies. Today, it is our great opportunity to listen his success story, his journey in his own word. Welcome, Shantan. Warm welcome and lots of good wishes for you. Now, stage is yours. Please, Shantan, start.
Okay, this feels very nostalgic right now because coming back to, I can say, a home, it feels very nostalgic to come back and hearing from Bulbul ma'am, because I used to remember that the top conference classes where we all the streams used to sit on that point of time, and she used to take the C classes. I remember that, and later on saving our codes, we used to have floppy disk on that point of time, not really the pen drives and things like that way back in 2005. So it feels very nostalgic for me right now. So thank you. Thanks a lot. I'll try to keep the session very interactive. I'm not going to talk much about myself. I will try to say, tell stories, because stories makes difference. Stories makes a very compelling discussion, actually. Rather than going to technicalities, I won't go into the technicalities because I understand my target audience is right now first to fourth years or first to third years of Bengal Institute of Technology. So I'm going to try to make it as fun, as simple, as conversational as possible. And that's the reason for which what I'm going to do today is, that's what I do for every sessions actually. I will ask, I see that there are around about 140 students right now present. Please ask any questions. And I will say that please ask any questions right now. Let me answer that. And with that, every answer, I will give a story behind it, so that it becomes quite interesting for a interesting conversation. It becomes a dialogue rather than a monologue. That's what my point will be. So anybody who wants to ask a question, unmute yourself, say that, or there's a chat box possible over here. Please say that. That'll be really helpful. And till the time I receive any questions, the honorable teachers and the faculties members over here, they can ask me any questions. And I will answer accordingly like that. And I will give what exactly needs to be done. I believe that will make a very successful dialogue. Yeah.
Well,
Nice.
they will not be able to directly talk to you because that option, that is
Okay.
directly talk option have been disabled, but question answer section is on, obviously.
Perfect. I see questions are coming up. Great. Yes. I'm going to answer one by one so that it's going to be better. So what is your opinion about your profession? Okay. So entrepreneurship is something, or I would say starting up your own organization is something which should not be about just a fad. What I mean by fad is that since now entrepreneurship is right now is being said, like everybody is trying entrepreneurship and let's do it and things like that. Do not do that. Why? Because first of all, entrepreneurship is something which is not like, it's not something new. Like I said in a few days back in a session that the Thakur family is doing business from 1848 or 1840s. So Bengalis can do business, and they have been doing business for a long time itself. So I feel that it's nothing new. It's nothing new or hip or anything like that. Entrepreneurship is in Indian blood. Entrepreneurship is in Bengali blood, and you guys can definitely do that. That's the first thing which I would say that. Second thing is that if you really want to solve a business problem, if there is a business problem out there and you want to really solve that problem, that's and you're extremely passionate about that problem actually. So let's take an example. Maybe you're extremely passionate about football. That's great. And if you want to really solve like a problem in football, which can be about like maybe football strategies, it can be about football analytics, it can be about sports analytics, how many kilometers a player is running, what's their heat map and everything like that. If you are really passionate about something and you find out there's a business problem out there, go and solve it. Because whenever you are going to put your passion into your into your into solving that problem, actually that's when you actually become successful. Then it does not become a job anymore. In spite of the fact I know a lot of entrepreneurs out there, they're doing it, they're not liking it because they fundamentally do not like the problem which they're solving, or maybe they've gone past that problem actually. So to really wake up every day in the morning, sometimes you won't even feel motivated to do the work, but to really get going, because it's a long and arduous journey. For those reasons, I feel that you should be really picking up a problem which you are extremely passionate about and go after that. So that's the opinion about, I would say, reasons for, that's the opinion about my profession. The second question I see from Bideep Chandra Boshak is reasons for choosing entrepreneurship. I have given some of the answers already of it, but the main reason I'm going to really talk about that. So when I was working as an kind of a CEO of an entire vertical of Wipro Technologies called Enterprise Computing, there I used to interact with lots of folks. Like my job role was like to interact with even an architect as well, somebody with revenue projections as well. It was a like operations guy has to really wear multiple hats in that cases. So once I saw a lot of sales folks which were there, and I saw that they were making cold calls, they were sending cold emails and things like that. And later on, when I moved on to different organizations, I saw the same strategies being followed. And what I felt on that point of time, that when I used to speak with those folks, I used to see that they were extremely tired after that job was getting done, because it's a repetitive and there's a lot of rejection and everything like that. And most importantly, sales is being looked upon one of the most lowest forms of jobs in the entire history, actually. So I felt like I think B2B sales needs to be reinvented. We need to really work upon that. And then we started off. This was an idea which I started off before I joined. I started off 221B Baker Street. I was actually doing a beta of it in multiple organizations where I was handling my teams, and I was actually trying to implement those things in my teams, because the more you practice, the more you are better in that. So for like I started off 221B Baker Street in 2016, but from 2013, actually, I was having my own beta running in my own teams, in fact, Nickelodeon Technologies and other organizations. So what I did on that point of time, I understood that I'm sure everybody, let me ask this question to, or let me just say that actually, I'm sure you guys get a lot of cold calls or emails in your inbox saying that, hey, do you want to buy something or not? And you straight away either disconnect the call or you just move those emails to spam. What I realized that if this is happening in the case of a B2C scenario, what will happen in the case of B2B scenario? Consider the fact that maybe you are reaching out to a CIO of a large organization. That person is bombarded with cold emails, cold calls, and things like that, which even doesn't respond or even doesn't see that actually. Then the idea came of going and looking into the profile of that individual person, see that what they're posting about in the official social media. I'm talking about LinkedIn, Twitter, and things like that, what they're talking about, what they're thinking about, and then create a hyper customized marketing message to that individual decision maker. So consider the fact that if a CIO has posted that, hey, this is what exactly maybe the 5G technology is working upon right now. The 6G technology is going to start off from maybe 2030 and something like that. That's something which he posts about on its official social media. What we actually do on that point of time, understand what he is posting, and every marketing pitch which is going to go across to that person, be it on LinkedIn, be it on emails and things like that, we hyper customize that. And in that fashion, the persons respond back much more faster. Like 38% is just not a random number, which Bulbul ma'am said. So we actually really, with last 6 years statistics, it's being found out that it reduces to by 38%. And that has resulted us in having clients across 5 continents right now, some major clients like a Caterpillar or a PayScale or anything like that. I honestly don't even want to talk about that. And that's the now why I chose this profession. The reason was very simple, because I could see that this folks every day, day in day out, making calls, getting rejections and things like that. I identified that problem, and I started to work upon it, that how can I really have a traction with a decision maker of maybe a Netflix, or which we actually have done from multiple organizations actually. So that's the way I identified the business problem, worked upon it, and then we created a solution for that. Right now, we are making a platform out of it in association with IIT Patna. And we are making an NLG, a natural language generative platform out of it, using GPT-2, GPT-3 right now. That is something which we are doing, which that's a subsidiary of 221B Baker Street, which we have right now called Mycroft. So that's the reason of I started this entrepreneurship. Another major reason was because I faced a major accident in 2015 on that point of time. And I realized that, okay, I need to start something of my own. And that was one major motivating factor for me also to really start off my own business. Okay, that was Bideep's question. I will go to how do you get an idea of starting your own business? I believe I have answered that question. It's again simple. If you are connected to something, if you feel that you're passionate about something, maybe you're passionate about music. So why don't you think about how to really make a solution out of it, like about hearing sentiments, like a user sentiment of hearing a music or something like that. How about how you can optimize a streaming website or something like that. So I feel that if you're passionate about something, remain passionate about that thing and find out what are the business problems which are existing in the market. It can be a unique problem. It can be a unique solution you can provide, or it can be a solution which is already there in the market, but you can you can provide a better solution to that. See, cabs across the world, there are cabs like the yellow taxis in Calcutta. In New York also you get a yellow taxi over there itself. Be it in London, you get a black taxi over there. But what Uber saw the opportunity over there was a convenience. And also sometimes the taxi drivers have not been that great in customer service in that case. So Uber saw that as an opportunity and they really worked upon it. So that's exactly, you should really get your idea of starting your own business. I believe remain passionate to your hobby or a dream which you have. Remain passionate to the idea which you have, and then you can extrapolate that idea through a business solution. That's what is going to keep you engaged, because again, as I'm going to repeat, entrepreneurship is a very difficult and an arduous task and a very lonely path as well. Okay, the summary of your third, fourth, and placement story of yours. Very interesting. I'll definitely talk about this because I'm very proud of it. My first placement, by the way, was in Indian Army. It came for the placement of the 4th years. I still remember it. I was wearing a navy blue t-shirt and chinos, and we had a wonderful training and placement officer on that point of time called Sonia ma'am. And she said that, hey, San, why don't you go and appear for the interview? I said, like, look, I'm a 3rd year. Why should I go and appear for a 4th year interview? And he said, like, no, go ahead, do it. And I remember that it was night 11 o'clock. The interview took place, I think, in the electronics lab over there. And they gave me a Rubik's Cube to solve. Maybe they gave me a 15 seconds time frame, told me to solve it, and I could solve like a part of it. Asked me a few brilliant questions. I still recollect that, but I'm not going to answer that because it's going to make the session very lengthy. And then yeah, it was a wonderful session I had. And they went after the interview, which got over. After that, of course, they came back to us after a long time. It was like after maybe 6 to 8 months. That's the reason for which I sat for the next placement. By the way, I did get the chance for that. Went to Sultania Infantry in Bhopal. Amazing experience which had. There was another alumni from this college, Amit Sharma also went. In fact, there were 2 students who got shortlisted for the Indian Army. That's the first thing which happened. The second one was persistent. Payroll systems. I did not crack it. I could not crack it. And it's very important to really talk about failures. I'm also going to talk about failures a lot because failures make you more successful. Payroll systems, I could not crack it. I was Punit Piyush, makes me very nostalgic and very sad. Punit Piyush was the person who cracked it, and unfortunately Punit Piyush died this year due to COVID. Very sad incident. but a wonderful senior he was, a wonderful alumni member and batchmate of mine he was. My second was Cognizant. I still am quite surprised why I could not crack the aptitude of Cognizant. It is still the biggest mystery I had. But then it was Wipro Technologies which I could crack it. It was first, yeah, Wipro Technologies was something which I cracked on that point of time. So first was Indian Army, then Pero, then Cognizant, then finally Wipro. This was my journey. But yes, I want to give you one small tip for placements. If you're going for interviews, go for the interview in the beginning. Like I always go and attend the interviews in the beginning itself. I do not like wait that, okay, maybe let others go and then I will go for the interview. I've never done that. You should be fresh. The interviewee should be fresh and go for that. That's something I can really give as a small tip. Short story of your third, fourth. I've already answered this. How did you come up with the name of 221B Baker Street, Shampuna Roy? Yeah, this is a very common question I get. So 221B Baker Street is sometimes always being said as the name of, it's very anonymous, synonymous with Sherlock Holmes. But the point is, 221B Baker Street is just not about Sherlock Holmes. It's also about Dr. Watson, because all the stories which we read is from Dr. Watson's perspective. Now, what 221B Baker Street, that's our organization is trying to solve, as we have mentioned, that one is finding out. So one is actually doing a psychological profile of a decision maker. And then we are actually trying to reach out to that person and exactly sending a very hyper customized message to that person as well. And there is another team which does intent marketing. They're finding out the intent of an organization. So let's consider the fact that maybe right now Netflix requires a compensation solution right now. The intent marketing team is going to find out that, okay, Netflix requires the compensation solutions. That's the part which I can put it into the Sherlock part, that he is finding out the why of it, why he requires that solution. That's the part I put into the Sherlock Holmes thing. And the Dr. Watson part is over here, when they're understanding the psychology of the person, and then they're writing a very hyper customized message to that person actually. So combining both, that's what 221B Baker Street is. And that's the reason for which the name is 221B Baker Street. Plus the name sounds quite cool as well. My next question is, how do you keep yourself motivated during hard times or repeated failures without losing zeal? Shorojit Sinha, brilliant question, I would say. Maybe one of the reasons for it is because I have seen death very closely, and I went through a very difficult phase of my life in 2015. And I will never forget, DP sir did call me up and said that, hey, are you okay or not? Or a lot of seniors on that point of time, the first batch of the seniors, they called up and said that, are you okay or not? That's a love which you get from being from the alumni and the teachers, in fact. So I suffered a lot of health issues on that point of time. I still suffer that actually. But still, that made me realize that success and failure is never going to be permanent. You will have success, you will have failure. It's a transient cycle which will keep on happening. But if you maintain a strict discipline in your life, the periods of failures will be shorter. The second thing is that if you are customer centric, I will never say customer is the king, but I will always say customer centricity is the king. And change yourself, modify yourself, not change, modify yourself with the time. That's what is very essential, and that will keep your failures cycles very smaller. But if you talk about motivation, how I keep myself motivated, it's because of the first question which I answered, because I'm extremely passionate about the problem I'm trying to solve. I'm trying to solve a problem which I saw way back in 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14. I've seen that, I still see that. And in that fashion, I try to solve those problems. And that's why when I wake up, I'm pretty passionate about it to solve it. And that's one of the things. Another thing which I will definitely tell you guys to stay motivated is to have a hobby, to have a very healthy hobby over there. And the hobby is this, that when you are done with your work, spend your time on the hobby over there. Like for me, I love animals. We do have a small animal shelter over there. We adopt animals permanently, look after them. That gives me immense amount of pleasure when I'm not working. The second thing is that I really love football. So And for those reasons, I keep on watching football, learn a lot from the football strategies and formations and things like that. And honestly, I do implement that in my work as well. So that's one of the things which keeps me very much motivated. The third very important thing which keeps me motivated is that I do not go in competition with anybody. I feel that you guys should not compete with anybody else, but with yourself. You should be competing with yourself own. There is no other competition. That will make your journey very, very easy. Actually, what others are doing, learn the good things out of it. You don't have to see that, okay, this person has done that great or something like that. There's nothing like that. Actually, life has its own pace. You will learn it at your own pace itself. Just keep an eye what exactly is happening across the world. Otherwise, you will become a dinosaur. So for those reasons, I would rather suggest, do not compete with anybody, but just compete with yourself. Try to reach at least 60 to 70% of your potential. And if you do reach, my friend, that potential, you have no clue how much amount of successful you will be. So those are the things I feel that keeps me motivated, in fact. And yeah, there are a lot of other things, and there are a lot of questions coming up. So yeah, when I find time, I'll reply back to it. Okay, I will go to the next question. Okay, Shottopriyo Bishwash asks, after finding a solution of a business problem, how to monetize, I believe. That's what Shottopriyo is asking. Okay, I will give a very different answer for that. So what I did when we start, not I, there was another co-founder of mine was there named Akhtar Hussain. We both started off this work, and he actually told me, hey, Sayan, why don't we start off a business of our own? So what we did in the initial was, we first found out that what we are good at, what we can really do excellent work on that. So we were very confident of doing that. Like, okay, finding out, reducing sales cycle, finding out target audience, sending them hyper customized message. We knew it. This is something which we can really do great. What we did after that is, since I mentioned in the very first moment that I was doing my own beta projects from 2013 to 2015, I had a lot of case studies already prepared. So what you need to do first is that you need to create a lot of case studies where you can show to your potential customers that you have done that kind of work to other their competitors or their peers or something like that. So create loads of case studies. The moment you have loads of case studies over there, you will feel very confident to go in front of the customers and pitch your ideas on that point of time, be it for fundraising, be it for anything like that. Create multiple amount of case studies for yourself. Create proof of concepts. If you have an MVP, brilliant. But again, so create case studies and then you go in front of the customers. It might sound a bit surprising, but 221 Baker Street has never taken a single penny from anybody. It's completely bootstrapped. We were profitable from month one itself. Why? Because we made that preparation of creating those case studies and understanding what we are good at, that we already knew about that. And then we went after the market. But yes, of course, you have to put a lot of hard efforts for that. I still, unfortunately, have to work 16, 17 hours a day. Then we used to hardly sleep in the beginning of the organization, when we started off the organization. That's the hard work and the smart work also. You need to do it. And once you can really present in front of the customers that, hey, this is what we have done already, monetization becomes cakewalk after that. I hope I could answer the question which you've asked. I will move on to Anirban Mukhopadhyay's question. Sir, without a proper funding, can a company stand with only ideas and small budget? Yes, of course. I can say that, as I've mentioned, that we have never taken a single penny of funding from anybody over there. What is very essential, as I mentioned to you, that you need to be very clear about what you want to achieve. That's the clarity of thought which you need. That this is the exact problem I want to solve. This is going to be my target customers for that. And that's what I'm trying to solve it over there. And that's one of the reasons for which I will give a bit of a controversial or unpopular opinion. It's totally fine if you do take up a job first and then go for your own startup. It's totally fine. Why I'm going to say that? First, when you have a startup first, a startup is not just a solopreneurship. It's about a team. You need to grow the team. You need to understand the team dynamics and things like that. That is something which you will understand a lot when you join an organization. You can understand where the managers are doing great, where the managers are not doing that great, and exactly you can replicate or make it better or not repeat what the other managers have done. That I exactly did that thing. I realized I'm very happy. I was extremely happy to work in Wipro Technologies. There were certain things which I didn't like. There were a lot of other things which I loved it. And we exactly replicated those things actually over there. And that's where we got the success. Now, talking about the funding part, if you are very clear on what exactly you're achieving it, first create the MVP. And in the case of the minimum viable product, which you're trying to create over there, I don't think so you would need a lot of amount of funding. But however, with IISc coming into the picture right now, I've seen, like I'm part of the IISc, so I'm a member of a lot of IISc. So I know that the school, the colleges which you're part of it, or the business schools which I know, they can nowadays can fund your startup, taking a bit of stakeholdership in the organization. So I think the funding problem which you guys, which is a thing which is there, that is also being solved right now with the IISc coming to the picture. So I would suggest first focus on your idea, focus who's going to be your target audience, focus on the case studies, focus on the MVP, focus on the proof of the concept. That should be your first focus. Don't think about the funding first, because funding is, that's, I unfortunately I see with a lot of founders, which I see, the entrepreneurs, the budding entrepreneurs, I see that they many a times really are more focused on that actually. Do not think about the funding. Focus on your product, focus on your idea, stay true to your idea. That is most important actually. Okay. What do you like most about your job? Which part of it do you enjoy the most? Excellent question again. Can I give you a very honest answer? Staying independent. The independence which I have to implement my own ideas, the independence which I have to really work upon the ideas, and when you think about it and when you ideate about it and when it really solves it, when you so idea is idea, and ideas without implementation is nothing actually. So what is very important over here is that whenever you have an idea and you need to really solve that idea actually, so you have to implement those ideas. Like, it's just not about me I'm talking about, it's Anton Chekhov actually said that thing. So what you need to really do that in that case is that I really love it when there's an idea actually, when we really work upon it, like have sprint runs on that, and then after that we see that okay, this idea is now implementable, and when it takes into shape and when it is successful, and when we all as a team is like, just not me, it's just not my own project, it's the entire team is involved into it, and when the team is happy that when the project is getting implemented and it's successful, that's what makes me extremely happy about my profession. That okay, after I put 16-17 hours a day every day for the last 6 years, I still see that okay, that idea is successful. That makes it extremely happy. And of course, yes, and also I really I find a lot of happiness when I really mentor a lot of startups when they come up, and when I can really implement those ideas which I'm implementing in my own organization, when I can implement that into other organizations, and when they really become extremely successful over there. Like recently, there was a startup from called, I'm forgetting the name, but it was from Symbiosis Pune. Samyata or somewhat. I know the idea. I can tell you the idea what they're working upon. They are actually creating a recruitment tool for the specially abled folks, somebody who is not being able to see or can't hear and maybe have a speech impairment. So they created an amazing platform over there, and we worked on that very closely. And then when they got about a 10 lakh rupees of grant from the Niti Udyog, from Government of India, that makes me extremely happy that okay, these are just not ideas, this can be implemented, and this can give you results as well. So that's what makes me very happy about it. After the experience you have gained now, would you have done something differently which you could have changed the outcomes? Of course. I say that I am making mistakes every day. I'm making mistakes every day, and I'm trying to learn from those mistakes. I know that sometimes extreme strict discipline is sometimes can be stifling. And for those reasons, I feel that maybe I should have been less strict sometimes, or maybe I should have stuck to certain decisions, or maybe I should have done something which could have been done before. I'm learning every day. I'm a learner every day, and that's what it should be for every folks out there over there. Till the last day of your death, last day of your life, you should be actually learning. And so since I'm learning that, I feel that I can, I'm trying to really achieve those things, be it recruitment. Now I understand that what exactly team I need, which I did not realize before. I'm understanding that thing. I now understand how exactly should I handle certain situations, how I should delegate the tasks more, How should I distribute the task more? And how should I hire those folks accordingly like that, which I did not understand before. I've understood that I'm learning and I'm going to do better. That's an amazing question which you have asked me. Right? Okay, why Sherlock Holmes and not Feluda or Byomkesh? Excellent question. So yes, Byomkesh could have been thing. I could have gone for Byomkesh. Topshe is not a Topshe is more of a sidekick, which Dr. Watson is not. So Feluda doesn't come into the picture. Byomkesh is something which I can really say actually, because Ajit is again a very much similarity of Dr. Watson. So yes, Byomkesh could have been something like that. But yes, why 221B Baker Street? Because I had a friend once, and me and her, we used to solve puzzles together at one point of time. And that's the reason for which, and we used to really keep those riddles inside our workplaces, inside our where I used to stay. We used to keep those riddles, and that's the reason for which that idea remained, and that's why we opened up 221B Baker Street. So yeah, that's why it's Sherlock Holmes. But great question once again. Ever had a loss of job in career? Can you explain if you any loss of job in the sense, was I fired or I'm not sure about that. Was I fired ever? No, I was never fired, but we had mutual separations for very sure. Like after my accident, I had a very proper mutual separation, not a proper, I would say, but a mutual separation with my then employer. And yes, I did have that. But apart from that, I never had a loss of job actually. And maybe that's one of the reasons for which I started off my own organization, so that I don't have to really think about that if I would ever have a loss of job. So great question, Mohammed Misbahul Haq. Like we can become entrepreneur. Next question I'm answering. Like we can become entrepreneur with high passion, but the ultimate truth is money. So how to finance our small company in the starting days? Okay, I think I've answered this question, but again, I'm going to reiterate a few things. It's not about just passion. It's about how smartly you are strategizing your thing. I'll answer that in a case of a football match actually. So if you're seeing that your opposition team is very strong in the midfield, so you have to overload the midfield in that case. You have to do something or the other over there so that you can really overwhelm the opposition over there. So that's the reason for which it's just not about passion. It's about solid strategy. If you do not have a solid strategy about your vision and how to achieve that vision itself, passion won't really let you go, because you're very correct. It's ultimately money. And that's the way we learned how to monetize it, how to monetize even we may. So another thing, I will really suggest you one thing. We always have tried to keep recurring costs very low over there. That's one of the reasons for which we never took. We actually, it might sound very futuristic. When we started off the organization, we completely work from home. Why? Because I had trust on my team members. They work from their home, and we kept our recurring costs of having an office on that point of time lower. But later on, we moved on to an office because we realized the team is getting bigger. It's not going to be possible anymore. So it's just not about the passion. It's about some smart strategies and persistent work behind that. That's what will help you to monetize. How to monetize? I have answered that question already. I'll move on to the next question of Siddhant Sharma. Had you decided to be an entrepreneur in the first year only, or only after working for some years in MNCs? In the first year of my college, I was clueless. I had no clue how to really come from Science City to college itself. We used to get to a bus of Ghatakpukur and don't know where we were wandering around. So having an idea of my own company in the first year, no way. I was still wondering what to do and things like that. I still remember I had a heartbreak in my first year actually. So let's not go into it. So I'm just trying to make it as interactive and funny so that it's just not boring actually. So no, not at all. It's only after I have worked for some years in the MNCs and then I've realized that, yeah, this is the business problem I have. And this is what I wanted to solve. And my friend, we did not have even had a proper internet connectivity when we were in the first year of college. I'm talking about in the residence, in our own home. So for those reasons, yeah. So it was quite a disparate ecosystem which we had. So no, I did not have that. Very honestly. In computers, it's Mohammed Shabul Ansari. In computer science engineering student, first year start coding. I know you're thinking, please, sir. Okay, wait, let me see. Okay, should you start, if I have understood your question properly, Ansari? Should you start coding from the first year? Of course, yeah, definitely. There's no doubt about that. So that is something which we're very serious about that. So as I was saying about Bulbul ma'am's classes and things like that, we are extremely serious about our grades and educations from about that. I was solving, this is something which we really started from the second semester, is we were solving campusing papers right from second semesters. We all were solving it from the second semester itself. That's why we never faced any difficulty in getting recruitment or campusing over there. But since this conversation is not about recruitment, but still to answer your question, yes, of course, you have to start your coding. Like I was extremely passionate about from second year, first semester, I was extremely passionate about data structure, because data structure is your fundamental thing in computer science engineering. If you don't know data structure, I will say that you don't know much about computer science in that case. So we were extremely passionate about data structure from the second year, first semester. You ask me about pointers right now, I can still answer you that. So yeah, you have to do that. And we were already starting to solve those problems right from the first year, second semester. I had some amazing seniors like Shogato Bhattacharya from 2007 batch, amazing guy. We used to talk hours and hours on phone calls about how to really solve problems from Cunningham and Ritchie, pointers in C. We're solving those things from first year, second semester, not in third year when the campusing is coming. So yeah, you need to really start off your hard work and smart work from first year, second semester. Konkona Chakraborty, how do you get an idea of starting your own business? I believe I've answered that already. You need to be passionate about you need to be passionate about something which you need to solve, and you need to find out what exactly are the existing business problems over there. So if you are passionate about let's take an example, Konkona. You are ordering something from an e-commerce platform. I'm giving random examples. So, and you see that there is a delay all the time from a particular, there's always a delay or there's something like that. If you feel that this is a problem which you think that which you can solve and you're passionate about that thing, create a supply chain management, create a supply chain analytics, see about inventory management, think about it. If you see that there is a problem with returning your products, think about reverse logistics. That's the way. You need to keep your eyes and ears open. You need to see what are the problems which you're facing every day in your everyday life itself. And if you want to solve that, you're most welcome to do it. And that's the best way to start your own startup. In which days has lockdown affected you? Oh no, lockdown hasn't affected me at all. Actually, I would say in a way, 90% of the cases, I would say lockdown didn't affect me because we started off our organization in the from work from home office itself. That's a great question, by the way. So that's the reason for which we never had any problems in the lockdown, because we already started off in that fashion. We had the lockdown, we stopped it right in March 2020. And I'm going to give you a very fun fact. My engineering team, still they're working from home from March 2020, saving a lot of my money in the infrastructure over there, coming to office and things like that. But my market research team needs regular discussions and conversations. So we go to office twice a day and meet and do our work. So lockdown hasn't affected me. One way it has affected us was we faced a bit of an attrition in between, because I realized it very well. The associates of my organization were getting bored staying at their home. That was a phase I felt over there. That affected their performance a bit, but I feel that it's more the issue with the associates rather than us. And that's the reason for which we moved around that thing. We did some steps and it has worked absolutely fine for us. So the lockdown, I won't say it has affected much, but yes, there was a bit of an attrition which happened. That I will definitely agree with that, with the lockdown, but it turned out to be good for me, to be very honest. In computer science engineering, it's Mohammed Shabul answering once again. Computer science engineering department, first year coding and language start, I know, but you think so, I want you to know. That's okay. I think I answered this. Okay. How can I have many ideas in field of business? And because there is many companies you thought about them before, how can I get new ideas? What will be my motivation? Okay, I'm going to give you this answer with an experience which I had in my childhood. So I started off studying from South Point High School in the beginning. Then I moved on to a different place and I had my education over there. But what my father always used to do is that he used to motivate me to do multiple things. He used to send me to a painting class. He used to send me to maybe a swimming class. My mother used to take me to a cricket class. Multiple classes. Why they do it? Why every parents do that? Because sometimes you might find like, okay, why they are really pushing us to multiple things? The reason is very simple, because they want you to swim in those shallow waters and see that which one are you really passionate about. So you might have multiple business ideas. Even I do have multiple business ideas and I find out which one I'm extremely passionate about. So that's the reason for which you might have multiple business ideas. Shortlist the one which you're extremely passionate about, which you feel that, okay, I have a zeal to solve that problem actually. That's the first thing. Once you have become very successful in that idea, then have those subsidiary, secondary business ideas along with that. Like for example, in the case of Mycroft, I had this idea of building Mycroft from 2017-18 onwards. We understood that 221 B Baker Street is going to be successful because in the very first year, we were having a revenue about very small revenue on that. But in the very first year, we were having a revenue about 11 lakh INR actually. So we realized that if this is happening in the very first year, we are going to really do a lot of good in the future. So that's the reason for which we moved on to starting off to make of Mycroft. Mycroft was my secondary idea that, okay, how to build a platform so that we as an organization become a technology company, not a services company. And then we started to work very passionately on that, and we are still working on that. And to be very honest, another alumni member of this college, Partho Dashgupta, is really helping me in that case, and other host of other colleges are helping me to really build that actually. So that's the point. Shortlist one or two great ideas, work upon that, whatever the subsidiary ideas which you might have, work on that side by side. You can work it as a hobby project, and then you can, when the first project has become very successful, take those projects side by side and work upon it. Okay. Mohammed Muzammil Aman, how entrepreneurial ideas comes into our mind. Yeah. So it can come to your mind only if you keep your eyes and ears open. You need to keep on have your own opinion. You need to have a very open-mindedness over there and see and embrace the world actually. If you're seeing that every day there is a business problem over there, I'm going to give you again very simple example. The complex where I stay, the problem which we used to face is that there was no nearby shops around us over there itself. So what somebody over here did that he or she, it's he actually, okay. He opened up his own shop over here. He started off with his own e-commerce platform so that other people can come and also buy it from there itself. So the person identified the problem. Now, how he identified the problem? Because he kept his eyes and ears open. So keep your eyes and ears open. You will see that how the business ideas are. And you will get the business ideas over there and then Google upon it, research upon it. I'm going to talk about one example of it yesterday. Actually, yeah, yesterday. Today is Sunday. So it's on Friday. I was having a mentorship thing with IIT Patna, and there was one startup which came up over there, which was solving problems on how electric cars, when they are traveling, how they can have eco routes actually, and how they're creating a traffic management, how they're creating a hub model so that it can get connected with the other cars and things like that. Now I asked him that why you have solved this problem, why you are going for that. Then he said that, okay, while I'm traveling actually, while I was having my own bike or like electric bike over there, he found out there were very less charging points over there, and that's where gave the inspiration for him to work upon this idea. So you need to keep your eyes and ears open. I have shared my story already, that how I got my idea to start off my own organization. So that's fine. Okay. How it's Ribhu Mondol. Can we start thinking about startups without any penny in hand? I've answered this question. Yes, you can certainly work on your idea. Be passionate about stay with the idea which you're passionate about. Create case studies. Find out your target audience. Do a competitive analysis. Find out how you can improve your services. Go into the market in that fashion. Give us Siddhant Sharma, give us a positive roadmap for first year IT students, because it is a little bit difficult to decide what to do first and second, to suggest your points. Okay. Yes, first year, second year, third year, even fourth year as well. Even people who have passed out from the college as well. There are a lot of folks whom I know, they're still figuring out what they want to do in life. So don't be overwhelmed, Siddhant. This is totally fine. I am actually still figuring out what I want to do in my life, to be very honest. So there's nothing to be worried about that thing. As I've told you, what you should guys be doing right now, if you want to know what you guys should be doing, I will give you a few examples of it. I did a lot of internships while I was in my college. In second year, one of my batchmates, Shomodip Banerjee, I think, he was the first guy who started off the Bits to Bytes thing actually. in that Bits to Bytes thing, what we started off to do is that it was a tech fest, which we started off in the college way back in 2006, 2007, perhaps. In that tech fest, we asked all the folks in the college to submit their ideas and give a project, including us. Even I worked on a project on that point of time, even when we were all the starting, like startup, like we were like the starting group of Bits to Bytes. But even I and there was another guy called Shubhabrata Goswami, we started off a project on that point of time called steganography. Why? Because we were watching a lot of thriller movies, a lot of spy movies on that point of time, and we thought that how to insert characters within an image and to really show that. And we started to read upon steganography. We started to learn how to do that thing, and we worked upon it. And so that's the way we came to know about that world, that how to insert characters within all the characters, which is there in like if you open up an image in a notepad or anything like that, you will see there are a lot of special characters over there. That's the way we learned about steganography in the second year. In third year of my curricula on that point of time, this I learned from Shobhata Bhattacharya of 2007 batch. He said that, hey, why don't you go to ISI and search for projects? We exactly did that thing. We went for the projects. You have no clue. ISI on that point of time had like what 4 to 5 buildings. We went to every departments, knocked to every departments and said that, hey, do you have a project? Eminent scientists like Pinak Panipal, they were not really, they were very hesitant to give us projects in the beginning, but we went to them after and after and after again. We got projects and things like that. So I would really suggest you something, that you should really do a lot of internships. Internships are extremely important, be it for your startup, be it for your curricula or anything like that. Don't think that, okay, this is my study, this is only thing which I'm going to study over here. You guys are engineers. There is no as such syllabus over there. You guys should really focus on, you guys should be really doing a lot of internships, learn multiple new computer science concepts, and then implement that. I would say learn multiple algorithms, learn multiple structures over there, data structures over there, and then implement it with a programming language. Do not focus on the programming language more. Focus on the algorithms and the data structures more, because these are the building blocks of yours. Anybody can learn a programming language actually, but it's more important to understand what you are trying to achieve. Why is it happening? Why the sorting is happening? Why the swapping is happening? How you can create a hash map? That is the most important thing which you guys really need to think about it. And please do not study matrix before the exams. Stop doing that. Computer science engineering. It is Mohammed Shahul Ansari once again. Computer science engineering, other country scope. I know host of folks in my country who are doing great studying from this country itself. So you don't have to really go to other country and do that. Yes, the scope, maybe the infrastructure maybe in India might be lesser, but I can tell you something that is in a way better for you guys. Why? Because with limited infrastructure, it becomes, the concept of jugaad comes into it over there, because you have a limited infrastructure, and that's the way you can innovate over there. So I'm very sure you can do excellent working from from your own country, from your own state. You can do it only if you have the passion and the hunger to really exceed over there. Escape routes are always there. I can talk about, because I personally work with multiple universities in Asia. So I can tell you what are the scopes over there. But yes, again, I feel that you can do great in BIT itself, only if you want to do it. How much hours you practice coding when you are in college except the college time? Coding hours practice. Okay, I was a day scholar. Every day traveling used to take a lot of time. So I used to practice at night. When I used to come back to my residence, I used to practice. I used to come back home. I used to sleep for a few hours. Like I used to sleep for 3-4 hours, and then I started to study from night 2 o'clock till in the morning, like 5-6 o'clock. Go to gym, then come to college every day. That was my regime actually, which I used to do. Especially in the third year and the fourth year, I used to do that. So I used to code on that point of time 2 to 3 hours maybe. But again, I was more about solving the errors in the code, which I started to do. Like I used to divide it. I don't exactly remember it, but I can still give you a sketch. I used to find out what are the errors in a code. That's something which I was very passionate about, finding out the errors in a code, because that used to help me in campusing as well. Because sometimes they used to say that why the error in output is coming. I still remember companies like Subex or Aditi Technologies, they had really difficult aptitude papers. So that's something which I was very passionate about. And about coding, of course, whatever was there in the curricula that we used to work upon. In my third year of my curricula, I got in touch with an excellent person who really mentored me. Still, he mentors me in a way, called Professor Bishojoy Chatterjee from IEM. He's VC of UEM. He's the VC right now. What he really infused me was he made me very passionate about microprocessors. So he used to give us code like how to really print 8 in your how to display 8, how to create delays and those things. That's why one of the papers which I used to give as my favorite papers was microprocessor actually. So in that case, I would say it's not about hours of practicing in coding. It's more about how you, as I told you, it's not about the coding part. It's more about how better you understand the algorithms and how better you understand the data structures. And of course, then you have to implement those things. So yeah, I used to do maybe 2-3 hours, not every day. I won't say every day, but yeah, 2 to 3 hours was the standard time, I would say. Yeah. Can we think of a startup without a penny in hand? I've answered that question. Mohammed Mizabul Haq, what should be the recovery plan for the company which is first going well, but for some reason is going to get close? So how to recover the company? Okay, excellent question. So my answer will be why to even take your company to that position itself. Why that it will be suffering losses and things like that. That's one of the reasons for which you need to be extremely disciplined about your work. Like even if it's a holiday, I'm not talking about like there are certain holidays I take every day, every year. But apart from that, I keep myself involved into my work every day. Be it Monday to Sunday, I do it. Even if it's on a Sunday, I might be giving 1 or 2 hours of a day, but I still go and see what exactly is happening in my organization over there. I keep a very sharp eye, a very hawk eye, I would say, that what exactly is happening in my organization. So again, you need to keep a very sharp eye, look into the finer details, look into the minute details, which others will be missing out. Talk to your team members a lot, understand what the problems are there, hire faster. If you're finding out that person is not really a fitment for your organization, part ways with that person, understand what you have learned from that thing, and then don't repeat the same mistake over there. So I feel that if you are really at the top of your game all the time, understand what exactly you're doing, I think you won't be really losing, you won't be facing those problems. But yes, another thing, keep a very sharp mind, try to read a lot, try to solve puzzles. I still go and solve, I try to go and take IQ tests. But like last Sunday, I was not last Sunday, last Sunday, I was actually just lazing around in my bed then I found out there was an IQ test over there, and I started to solve that IQ test. Why? Because you need to keep your mind sharp, and yes, work out, which I don't do nowadays, which is a really bad thing which I'm doing. Work out a lot. Give at least an hour of your day to work out. That will keep your mind very sharp. And as I've said before, keep a hobby with yourself that is going to make you feel very happy in that case, so that it doesn't become a monotone part. Okay. Is it mandatory to learn Python in today's field of technology? How important is it? And is it okay if I skip and stick with the veterans in Java and C? It's entirely dependent on you, what you want to achieve in your life. Python does, of course, gives you a lot of advantage, but C, of course, is the building block of your understanding of the technology. Understanding of coding. But again, as I've told you before, it's not about the coding part. It's about understanding the algorithms and the data structures first. You can implement that definitely with Python. But again, take away the motive, take away this vision that I have to learn programming languages. Programming languages is a tool, is an enabler to solve a problem. First, you understand the problem, find out the algorithm to solve the problem, and then use the tool that is a programming language. So I feel that you should change your perspective in that. But again, once a great question. Sir, please give tip to manage team Shotopriyo Bishash. It's something which I'm still learning. I'll be very honest about that thing. I'm still learning that thing. To manage a team, first of all, I feel that you should first know what your team is doing really well. But that is also after when you have just started your startup, that's the tip I'm going to give you first. But after, when you have established your startup, this is not going to be the case. It's going to change a lot. I'm going to say you phase by phase. Phase one, when you're starting your own organization, you should know what exactly you're doing, and you should know what your team members are doing, and also help them out in that case. If they're stuck into a problem, go and speak with them a lot, understand what the problems they're facing. But before that, you should have a solid training plan. One thing I'm very proud of my organization is that we have a solid training plan. Whenever we are going to even onboard somebody, we already have the training plan prepared maybe 2-3 months back itself. Also, when you're hiring somebody, make that person well aware that what job role they're going to go and do it. That is the fundamental building block of creating your a great team. So if you're hiring somebody to do right now to work on a maybe an analytics work, or maybe if you're hiring somebody who is going to come up and make a UI UX for you, explain the job role very well, that this is going to be your job role, this is going to be your day in day out work, and again evaluate that person exactly with that job role as well. Like if I'm hiring you, Shotopriyo, for maybe right now for doing a maybe a martech work, a marketing automation work, I need to explain that this is going to be your job role, and I'm going to also make you go through an assessment of the day-to-day work which you're doing. This is going to make the person who is going to join the company, they will understand that what they're going to join over there. That is extremely important. That's the first building block you need to do. Then train the team members really, really well. That's step 2. You need to train the team members really, really well and explain the bigger picture, that why they are doing a certain work. What's the reason for which they're doing it? Don't make them feel like working in in small boxes. Explain them that if they're coding something right now, how that is affecting them in the bigger picture, actually, how it is affecting the entire module, or it's how it's affecting the entire software right now. Still now, even after 6 years, the engineering division which we have, whenever the first day the new team member who joins our organization, I take the first class of that. Why I do it? Because I explain that what my client does. I explain them that what exactly is the objective of his job role and how he's going to achieve that job role itself. I explain that. That's the first thing which I really work upon it. So these are the steps which you need to do it. And yes, most importantly, try to make your team more efficient by giving them tips, tricks, help them understand if it requires tools, give them tools to work upon it so that they can finish the work over there. Be empathetic, be more empathetic, understand what their problems are. But most importantly, I would say to you is maintain a very strict discipline over there. Tell them to become more efficient rather than to really work on long hours. I really follow a very strict German policy, which I have seen in like companies in Germany follow that. They tell their employees to finish their work in 8 hours, not to stretch behind that. So I exactly say my team as well to do that thing. We also have a policy of 5-4-5-4. What is 5-4-5-4? We say that, okay, 1 week you guys are going to work on 5 days, another week you're going to work in 4 days. Why we have done that? Because now the associates, since Friday is a holiday, what they're going to try to do is that they are going to finish the work in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So tell your team members to be more efficient, and that is the way you guys can actually manage your team. But this is something which I'm still learning actually. So sometimes we get a unique ideas of our own, but we are afraid of money investments. What if it fails? Thought, any solutions? Ankita, I have already answered this question. Again, you need to really, investment comes later. Idea, be passionate about the idea, create prototypes and things like that. I've already answered that. Okay. Anonymous attended. Do you think you are currently at the peak of your career? Not at all. Not at all. I have not yet even started. I'm not even warm. I have not even warmed up right now. I feel that I have not even achieved even maybe 10% of my potential. So I have miles to, like I'm gonna say the lines of Robert Frost. I have miles to go before I sleep. So I'm nobody. I have not achieved anything in my life. I always keep on saying that thing. The youngsters which I see nowadays, what are they achieving? That is beyond what even we could have imagined. I have not achieved anything over here. I'm still competing with myself so that I can get the best version out of me itself. And I'm learning. I've not achieved anything in my life yet. I have to achieve a lot in my life. That's what my question, that's my answer is going to be. I think I've answered all the questions.
Thank you, Sayantan.
Yeah.
Mr. Santan Mukherjee, very much thank to you for your such a esteemed motivational speech for our students. I think since the session was very much interactive.
I would just interrupt you, please don't, if you do not mind. I see some dismissed questions were there. I would answer that because I feel that it's very important for me, if you don't mind that actually.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I think there is all the questions have been answered by our esteemed speaker. So we expect our students to be enriched profoundly by by your experience in the journey of success. Thank you very much again, and it's a very much nostalgic moment for us as you are a VIT student, and we are very much proud of you. Thank you and all the very best for you. Now I am requesting our President IIT DIT, Professor Orpita Chakraborty, to present the e-certificate to speaker.
Yeah, sure. Please. Acha, sharing is allowed. I'm sharing.
I'm very happy that the students asked a lot of questions, and the number of participants only kept on increasing, which is really something which I really loved about it. And so that's what it is more about. So that's, I think, is my certificate, and I've got my certificate with that in 2008.
It was really amazing and engaging session. All the students part in asking questions and you patiently answered all the questions so well. So from the teachers and also it's very helpful. We got confusion in our mind also. Those got cleared from your answers. Thank you so much, Shantan.
No worries.
And we are looking forward to have expertise you in your future also. You have already been added to the IIC team of the ITM already. So we are expecting further cooperation from you. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Have a good day. Bye.
Thank you, Orpita. Now I would like to request our Vice President, IIT DIT, Dr. Tapan Kumar Pal, to give both of.
Okay. So at first, I want to thank Mr. Sayantan Mukherjee. He is also a alumni of our DIT and the founder of 221B Baker Street for his very wonderful and very exclusive kind of expressions. That is whatever the student can face it. So he explained all these things very beautifully. So I think it is very easy to understand and how to set up the own entrepreneur program. So on the behalf of Institution Innovative Cell of BIT, so I want to thanks to the speakers. So I may also give thanks to all the HODs and all the members of IIC BIT, especially Professor Peter Chakraborty, President of IIC, and Tanmay Pal, the convener of IIC, and all the members of and the coordinators of IIC, MIC cell-driven activities. So I give our thanks to all these participants also, so that without this, we are not giving the success of these webinars. And I also thanks to our principal sir, Professor N.C. Ghosh, although he is not present here. So I also thanks to all the faculty members and the staffs who join our to make this occasion very successful. So I thanks all once again all the students or the participants as well as the speakers also. So over to Shutapa.
So thank you, Papun sir. Now I am requesting Rajesh sir to give the feedback in chat and WhatsApp group.